The beautiful woman who was sleeping at home was awakened by strange noises. She saw swarms of cockroaches crawling out of the ventilation duct, and then a strange creature suddenly appeared. It seemed like it wanted to attack the woman. The beauty was startled awake. It turned out that she had seen strange things here more than once. The beauty's name was Amy. Amy used to be a lead dancer at a large dance hall. On this day, her work lasted until nearly 3 a.m. She went to the locker to get her travel bag, preparing to go home. A thug saw Amy and got excited. He stopped the woman and said a few words to her. Amy hurriedly tried to leave and casually responded with a few words. But before she had taken a few steps, the thug stopped Amy again. The man asked what was in her travel bag. Amy nervously turned back to answer the thug. She said it contained clothes. The thug indicated that Amy hadn't changed clothes. He ordered Amy to open the bag for his inspection. Amy pretended to bend down and open the travel bag. She took out a pepper spray and sprayed it into the man's eyes. Just as she picked up the travel bag and stood up, the thug immediately snatched Amy's bag. The two of them got into a fight. The woman struck the man's nose with a headbutt, causing injury. The thug was knocked down. Amy wanted to take the opportunity to escape, but her ankle was grabbed by the man. The thug stabbed the woman's thigh with a knife. Amy endured the pain and swung the bag forcefully. The thug was knocked down. Amy leaned against the counter, but the thug got up and grabbed the woman's neck from behind. He slammed the woman hard against the counter. All the glasses on the counter shattered. The woman took advantage of the thug checking his injuries. She picked up a wine bottle and smashed it on the man's head. Amy knocked the thug unconscious. Her thigh was bleeding as she walked through the dance hall. Amy drove away in a car, starting her escape route. She called her boyfriend while on the road, but her boyfriend's phone was turned off. Amy was very angry. She threw her phone on the seat. She came to a building. Amy carried her bag and walked towards the building. The scene changes. Amy's sister Anne was sleeping. She was awakened by strange noises. She walked to the bathroom. She noticed that black water was flowing from the tap, and felt that the house was no longer inhabitable. Her daughter also woke up. She shouted with her mouth, "He's here again," and told her daughter to pack up and leave this place. When they walked out of the room, they encountered Amy, who had just arrived, and looked at her sister with great surprise. They hadn't seen each other for many years. They embraced each other, and looked at her sister's helpless appearance. She had no choice but to go back to the room to bandage Amy's wounds. She told Amy must leave this place after the wounds were bandaged. Amy admitted that she had caused trouble. She hoped that her sister would take her in, and didn't know what to do either. While Amy was washing up, and took the opportunity to take the clothes and travel bag and went to the utility room. Curiosity drove her to open the travel bag. The travel bag was filled with small blue pills. At that moment, Amy also walked in, and realized that Amy might have been involved in something illegal. So, the two of them started arguing, and felt that Amy had brought disaster upon them. She told Amy to take the bag of flour and leave quickly. Amy shouted loudly. Once stepped out of this door, she would be killed soon, and had no choice but to take out 2 bottles of beer. The two of them calmed down for a moment and thought of alternative solutions. Amy lay down on the bed, about to fall asleep. She suddenly felt that there was a sound coming from the ventilation duct, so she turned off the washing machine next to her. She stood on tiptoe and looked towards the ventilation duct. Suddenly, a pair of eerie hands appeared at the ventilation duct. That hand forcefully pulled the ventilation grill away. Amy was frightened. After a while, a large number of cockroaches crawled out from inside. Amy was startled by the sudden appearance of the creature and fell down. Amy suddenly woke up. By this time, the sun had already risen. She went to the kitchen and saw her niece Cindy. Cindy was brewing coffee. Cindy liked to talk. They chatted while eating. Cindy told Amy that her mother had disappeared last night. Her mother's bag was also missing. Amy thought the little girl was lying to her. She got up and searched each room for Anne. Eventually, she confirmed that it was true. Cindy said her mother didn't like this place. She believed this place was unsafe. There were hardly any neighbors around here. Amy took Cindy downstairs to find a store. She called Anne. On the other side, the backstage boss of the dance hall is a gang member. The boss is currently in a snack shop. He is questioning the dance hall manager about the disappearance of the flower. The boss believes that Amy couldn't have acted alone. There must be a mole here. The dance hall manager assures that he will retrieve the flower. The boss sends his subordinate Eli to handle this matter. The dance hall manager no longer needs to worry about it. Amy takes Cindy to a bakery. She borrows the phone to call Anne, but she calls multiple times and cannot reach anyone. Amy returns to the room without lingering. Amy comes back and prepares lunch for Cindy. She is confused by Anne's sudden disappearance. She wonders if Anne doesn't care about her own daughter anymore. Cindy says there is a woman upstairs. She scares her mother. That woman's name is Maid. She takes care of things when the upstairs mistress is not around. She is in charge. She is very frightening. Amy asks the child why she isn't scared. The child says she is friends with the maid. Sometimes she even brings her gifts. Cindy shows Amy these gifts. Amy is frightened and feels strange as well. The gifts include a surgical knife, a bracelet, and insect specimens. There are also tears from children and teeth from people. Cindy tells Amy, these are all gifts the maid brings to her from her dreams. She had a dream about something ugly, and then the maid appeared here. After a while, the girl downstairs invited Cindy to a birthday party. Amy didn't want Cindy to go. Cindy told her aunt that the girl's house had a telephone. Only then did Amy agree. She followed the girl to the 5th floor house. They were warmly welcomed by this family. This family expressed regret over Anne's absence. There wasn't a single man here, and besides the girl, they were all old women. Their expressions were all very strange. Amy asked the old grandmother to borrow a telephone. She wanted to call Anne, but the phone still couldn't get through. She had to call her boyfriend instead. The boyfriend anxiously asked where Amy was. The gang had already found Amy's car. They even sent Eli to find her. The scene shifts. On the other end of the phone was the dance hall manager. It turns out they conspired to betray the boss. The dance hall manager reassured Amy not to worry too much. He would come over to handle the situation now. He asked Amy to tell him the exact address. After Amy answered with the word Venus, the phone signal became bad after that. The dance hall manager couldn't hear Amy's voice clearly. Finally, the signal was completely lost. The dance hall manager called back. He discovered that the number didn't exist. The dance hall manager was very angry. The scene shifts. Eli brings his thug. He holds Amy's photo and personal belongings. He comes to seek help from a prophet. The prophet places her palm on the photo. She says that the girl is very beautiful. Then she cuts a piece of Amy's clothes and starts working. The prophet drinks a cup of black water mixed with the cloth piece. Afterwards, she seems to be possessed by something. The prophet gradually becomes insane. She spits out the piece of clothing. The cloth falls to a certain place. The prophet tells Eli, the woman named and is in this building called Venus. She shares the same blood as Amy. Eli doesn't understand her meaning. The prophet replies that this is what she has seen. Eli turns around, preparing to leave. The prophet reminds Eli to be careful. The dance hall manager returns home. He searches online for information related to Venus. He locks on a building called Venus. Then he repeatedly checks the surroundings of the building. He realizes that he has been here before. Amy's abandoned car is found here. After attending the party, Amy returns home. She feels that keeping the flower under the bed is not safe. She carries the bag of flour to the bathroom. She puts the travel bag in a high cabinet. She sees a briefing news about the building. The history of this building scares Amy. Jumping off, cannibalistic rituals, and more have occurred here. The news also mentions that the building is cursed. Recent reports state that 3 children were killed on the 10th floor. All of this is related to a demon called Maid. At this moment, Cindy comes over. She holds a surgical knife in her hand. She's yelling in pain. Cindy cuts her palm with the knife. Amy quickly bandages Cindy's wound. She asks the girl what's going on. Cindy cries and says it was the maid's demand. Amy scolds Cindy angrily. Then she hugs the girl tightly. On the other side, the boss is personally interrogating Amy's 3 colleagues. He doesn't have any clues either. Eli reports to the boss with a map in hand. He asks the dancers if they know the name Anne. One of the dancers says she heard it from Amy. It seems like her sister is called that. Eli happily slaps the table. The scene shifts. Amy takes Cindy to bed to sleep. She wakes up after a while. She feels something is wrong with the wound on her thigh. She removes the gauze and peeks at the wound. To her surprise, there are numerous cockroaches inside. Those small insects keep crawling out. Amy is terrified. Then she is startled awake. Amy blinks. The scene disappears. However, she can't fall asleep anymore. Amy feels there is a strange sound in the bathroom and walks over. She opens the shower curtain but doesn't find anything strange. She sees her sister next to the sink. She angrily questions her sister about why she disappeared, and says she wants to leave this place. Amy asks, "What about your daughter?" Astonishingly, and says Cindy is a demon. The woman slaps Amy in the face. Instantly, a pool of blood splatters on the floor. Amy feels the scissors cutting across her face. The two of them struggle together. Later, and forcefully knocks the woman down to the ground. She then grabs Amy's hair. The woman drags her on the ground. Cindy, who comes out, watches this farce. She calmly takes out a sharp object and stabs herself. Then she decisively pulls it out. Blood splatters everywhere like a fountain. The next morning, the dance hall manager drives to the building. Amy wakes up and realizes that last night was just a dream. Cindy stands by and tells her aunt, "Last night, the maid brought another gift. This time, it was for Amy." Curiously, Amy opens it to take a look. It turns out to be a stapler and transparent tape. Cindy says, the maid sent it when Amy was having a nightmare. Amy feels something is wrong. She asks Cindy to watch TV. She tells Cindy that she's going out for a moment. Amy runs towards the 10th floor alone. When Eli arrives at the building with his thug, at this moment, Amy arrives at the room on the 10th floor. Eli listens to news on the radio. A few minutes later, A solar eclipse is about to occur. The thug returns to the car and informs Eli. There is no mailbox in this building. They don't know which floor and lives on. Eli also finds this troublesome. Right at this moment, the mother of the girl on the 5th floor comes back with groceries. Eli comes up with an idea. He tells the thug, if he doesn't come down in half an hour, they should call the boss to report. The boss will know what to do. Eli poses as a demolition office staff member. He helps the lady carry the basket of groceries upstairs. Amy opens the door to the room on the 10th floor. The dance hall manager is searching floor by floor. The old lady happily leads Eli into the room. The lady who opens the door has a strange expression on her face. Amy looks at the gloomy and terrifying room. He frowns and forces himself to go down. After Eli takes a seat, he starts communicating with the old ladies. When he asks which floor and lives on, the old lady tells Eli that she lives on the 9th floor. However, she left yesterday. Another old lady suggests that an sister might know. At this moment, a silver-haired grandma appears. The scene shifts. Amy enters a room. The room is filled with pictures of Cindy. This completely terrifies Amy. She quickly runs away. Amy is grabbed by Anne in the hallway. Her sister is covered in blood. The wounds on her neck keep bleeding. There is a chain hanging around Anne's neck. Amy wants to help her sister remove the deadly chain. However, she has been imprisoned for a long time. In her dying moments, Anne says, all of this was done by the women upstairs. They want Cindy too. You must take Cindy out. Just as she finishes speaking, she dies in Amy's arms. The scene shifts. Eli is chatting with the old women. One of the old ladies gets up to fetch water from the kitchen. The old grandma asks Eli a strange question with a strange expression on her face. I am the landlord. I didn't know that there would be demolish officer coming today. Eli impatiently slams the table. He just wants to know which floor Amy's room is on. After the old grandma finishes answering, the old lady directly kills the man. The scene shifts. Amy runs back home and cleans the bloodstains. She walks to the window and sees thugs wandering downstairs. Amy knows that the gang has already found this place. Amy asks Cindy if there are any other exits here. She receives a negative answer. At the appointed time, the thug reports the situation to the boss. The boss tells him to guard the main entrance. Amy goes to the kitchen and takes a sharp knife for self-defense. During this time, Amy notices that there are more cars downstairs. She knows that the boss has brought his thugs here. Amy quickly tells Cindy to hide under the bed. At this moment, someone knocks on the door. Amy knows that it's the dance hall manager, so she quickly opens the door. The dance hall manager asks about the whereabouts of the flower. He is simply a scumbag. Shockingly, the dance hall manager stabs Amy to protect himself. Then he goes to the bathroom to look for the travel bag. He opens the door and sees a muscular giant. She is the maid. The man is mercilessly attacked by the abyss monster. She instantly crushes the manager's head. After killing the manager, the maid goes to rest. The boss, along with everyone else, goes to capture Amy while carrying firearms. He repeatedly emphasized that he wants a living person. He wants to punish Amy personally. The thugs, along with their henchmen, start searching. Amy tells Cindy to escape quickly. At this moment, the old grandma arrives with the chubby lady. She orders the chubby lady to inject Cindy. Then the old grandma proceeds to deal with Amy. They intend to sacrifice Cindy to the demon on this day. The old grandma stabs Amy's stomach again. Now Amy is about to leave this world for good. After the old grandma leaves with the chubby lady and Cindy, Amy keeps struggling on the floor. She crawls onto the bedroom bed. She is prepared to die like this. At this moment, she remembers the gift given by the maid. She takes them out. Only then does she understand their purpose. Amy endures the pain and staples herself with the stapler. The bed is sprayed with blood everywhere. The gangsters have already reached this floor. The woman takes out tape and wraps it around her abdomen to stop the bleeding. She knows that the gangsters will break in soon, so she sets up a trap and waits for them to fall into it. The thugs, along with their henchmen, enter the room. They see a large amount of blood on the floor. The thugs sense something is amiss and secretly retreat. The henchmen notice an unidentified object nearby. They thought it's a living person. They all opened fire and started shooting. It was instantly detonated. Enormous flames gushed out. A group of henchmen died in this way. However, the thug only suffered minor injuries, so the two of them began to fight. The thug swung his knife towards the woman. Amy swiftly dodged his attacks with great agility. However, she was hit hard in the face by the thug's punch. The woman disdainfully spat and infuriated the thug. The thug beat Amy to the ground. He kicked Amy in the abdomen. The woman kept bleeding. Amy took advantage of the thug relaxed his guard. She suddenly kicked towards the thug's face. Then Amy stood up and grabbed a hard object. She swung it forcefully towards the man. The thug had his throat held at knife point by Amy. Amy pressed down firmly. The thug didn't expect to be defeated by Amy. Amy took the gun and rushed to the 10th floor to save Cindy. At this moment, a solar eclipse occurred. Amy arrived at the room where the women were performing the ritual. A woman lunged at Amy. Amy instantly used her weapon to kill her. The old grandma and another woman approached Amy. They devoutly hugged Amy's legs. Amy directly shot and shattered their heads. She carried Cindy with the travel bag and walked out of the building. The boss and the other henchmen were surprised. The next second, the solar eclipse gradually ended. The sunlight shone on Amy's face. The boss witness saw Amy in this scene. He felt that Amy was a goddess descending to Earth. It was Amy who brought light to the world. With tears streaming down his face, he knelt before Amy to show his respect. The film ends. The film gives a very bloody and violent impression. Many violent scenes are not suitable for underage viewers. Surprisingly, the gang boss is moved by the sunlight. He prostrates himself before the woman. This surprises the editor. The old grandma's mind is clouded by her own ignorance. She hugs Amy's legs to show her submission. The whole film appears to be absurd. However, it carries the essence of the divine throughout. Interested individuals can watch the original film. See you next time.